The moment Elias Mercer checked his watch beneath the glittering chandeliers, he knew he had already stayed too long. The charity gala shimmered with daylight spilling through tall glass walls, laughter echoing off marble floors, and a world of people who looked nothing like his own quiet life. He adjusted the worn cuff of his jacket, thinking only of his 6-year-old son waiting at home with a neighbor, and took one step toward the exit. That was when the hostess's voice carried across the hall, calm but commanding, announcing that tonight's most unexpected bid would be placed on him. The room stilled, and Elias's carefully built plan to disappear cracked apart in an instant. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that can change a life, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Elias had not planned to attend the gala at all. He worked as a facility supervisor at a community arts center, the kind of job that paid bills but never built savings. The invitation had come because he had spent nights repairing storm damage to the center after a flood, refusing overtime pay because the nonprofit was struggling. Someone important noticed. Someone always noticed kindness too late, he thought. He arrived that afternoon in borrowed shoes, sunlight glinting off polished floors that made him acutely aware of every scuff on his own life. Around him were donors, executives, and philanthropists who spoke easily about generosity, unaware that generosity had a cost paid quietly by people like him. Since the accident 3 years earlier, Elias lived every day with a careful kind of urgency. His wife, Maribel, had died on a bright morning much like this one. A delivery truck running a red light while she crossed with groceries. Grief did not arrive all at once for Elias. It came in layers. First shock, then logistics, then the slow ache of realizing his son Jonah would grow up remembering his mother only in fragments. Elias learned to braid hair, pack lunches shaped like animals, and read bedtime stories with voices he never knew he had. He learned to say no to invitations, no to rest, no to himself. Love for him became something you proved by enduring. The gala was meant to raise funds for scholarships and outreach programs hosted by a woman named Karen Hale, whose name carried weight in the city. Elias knew her only by reputation. She had built a foundation after selling a tech company focusing on arts access for underserved families. She moved through the crowd that afternoon with ease, her presence warm but observant, like someone who noticed details others overlooked. When her eyes briefly met Elias's earlier, he had looked away, uncomfortable under attention that felt too sharp. As the auction portion began, Elias drifted toward the back, calculating how long it would take to get home before Jonah fell asleep. He imagined the boy curled on the couch, clutching the old blanket Maribel had sewn. That image tugged him harder than any social obligation. He took another step toward the exit just as Karen's announcement shifted the room's focus. She spoke of honoring everyday heroes, of recognizing sacrifices that never made headlines, and of bidding not on an object or experience, but on an opportunity to support someone whose life embodied quiet resilience. Elias felt a ripple of awareness turn toward him like heat. The explanation unfolded without spectacle. Karen described a single father who had kept a community space alive, who showed up before dawn and left after sunset, who never asked for recognition. The bid, she said, was not for his time or his dignity, but for his future. The funds raised would go toward easing his burdens, opening doors he had long kept closed out of necessity. Elias stood frozen, embarrassment and gratitude colliding painfully in his chest. He had never wanted to be seen this way, never wanted charity wrapped around his name. He wanted to leave, yet his feet refused to move. As hands rose around the room, daylight catching the sparkle of rings and watches, Elias felt something unfamiliar stir. Not hope exactly, but the possibility of it. The bids climbed quickly, numbers that made his stomach tighten because he could not imagine them belonging to him. He thought of Jonah's school shoes with the thinning soles, of the leaky kitchen faucet he kept meaning to fix, of the college fund he pretended not to think about. He thought of Maribel, who used to say that accepting help was not weakness, but trust. Elias swallowed hard, realizing how long it had been since he trusted anything beyond his own exhaustion. When the final bid settled, the room erupted in applause, but Elias heard only the rush of blood in his ears. Karen approached him not with pity, but with respect, explaining that the funds would be placed into a trust for education, childcare support, and housing stability. It was structured, thoughtful, and dignified. There was no expectation, no debt attached. For the first time in years, Elias felt the weight on his shoulders shift just slightly, like a breath he did not know he was holding, finally released. In the days that followed, the change was not dramatic at first. There were no sudden luxuries, no overnight transformation. Instead, there were small mercies, a reliable after-school program that Jonah loved, time reclaimed in the evenings, no longer spent rushing from one task to another. Elias enrolled in night classes to finish the certification he had abandoned after Marbelle's death. Daylight seemed brighter somehow, not because the world had changed, but because he was no longer bracing against it at every turn. Karen did not disappear after the gala. She checked in occasionally, not to manage or monitor, but to listen. Through her, Elias met others who believed in investing in people rather than projects alone. He began speaking at small events, sharing his story not as a tale of tragedy, but of perseverance. Each time he thought of Jonah sitting in the front row once, feet swinging, eyes shining with pride. That look mattered more than any applause. One afternoon, months later, Elias walked Jonah home from school under the same bright sky that once marked loss for him. The boy talked excitedly about a drawing he had made for his mother, now taped carefully above his bed. Elias realized that grief had not left him, but it no longer defined the edges of his days. There was room now for laughter without guilt, for plans that stretched beyond survival. The gala had not saved him. Kindness had met him where he was, and walked beside him instead. Near the end of that year, Elias returned to the Arts Center. This time not as the man who fixed things quietly in the background, but as someone helping design programs for families like his own. He watched children run through sunlit halls, their joy echoing against freshly painted walls, and understood that second chances rarely announce themselves loudly. Sometimes they sound like a calm voice in a bright room, choosing to see you when you least expect it. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that compassion can change lives in ways we may never fully see, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Your engagement helps spread these stories of hope to others who might need them today. And before this story ends, we have a special request for you. Please write in the comments what kindness means to you, or share a moment when someone's compassion changed your life, even in a small way. Elias still left events early when he could, still hurried home to be there for bedtime stories and quiet conversations. But he no longer felt invisible as he walked through the world. He carried with him the knowledge that being seen did not diminish him, and that accepting help did not erase his strength. Under the steady glow of daytime skies, his life moved forward not as a miracle, but as a testament to what can happen when one moment of generosity meets a lifetime of endurance.